Hey everyone, my name is FullMetalLamps and I am back with a Angela guide today. Today specifically we're going to go over 2 tips against every single hero as Angela except for Gambit. So as of recording this video, it is currently 1 day and 1 hour left before Season 5 drops. But I am recording this video with the idea of the Season 5 patch notes in mind. So all the new buffs that are getting added to every single character, I'm accounting for those when making this video. The only reason why I'm not making the Gambit section is because the character itself is not out and I don't have enough information to really give you any tips on it. But as you can see, I have a 58% win rate on Angela this season and a total of 54% Angela with almost 100 hours in comp for Angela, 99.3. So I think I'm pretty qualified on this character, and yeah, we'll just get right into it. But anyway, before we get started on the rest of the 2 tips video, make sure to check out my Twitch streams at twitch.tv/FullMetalLamp. I do live streams of VOD reviews, Peni Parker and Angela gameplay, discussions, whatever, almost every day. And yeah, let's get right into 4 separate tips for how to play Angela specifically. 1. You want to really focus on having consistent uptime rather than flashy plays. A lot of players will struggle with the neutral gameplay where they don't have access to their ults or their kidnap ability on Angela, especially if there's no ledges to kidnap people off the map. And so the majority of Angela gameplay is going to have this downtime, quote unquote, where you're not able to really get direct kills or do any crazy plays. And so what really matters is how are you spending that time where you don't have, direct kills or direct opportunities to do something insane on Angela. So it's really important to maintain a threatening presence to the enemy team with doing poke damage or flying around and causing a distraction to the enemy team. The second tip is that you really want to stall and abuse your movement. Angela is already a hard character to hit and prevent from stalling because she's a flyer with 550 HP and a pin ability and constant knockback and really fast movement. So you really want to use this to your advantage whenever your team has either lost a fight or are struggling to win, because just delaying the enemy team being a flying mosquito that they can't kill, it's going to be really annoying, especially with the new buffs where they made Angela even faster now. So preventing the payload from being captured or pushed forward by using your movement ability and your high HP pool, you're going to be doing little to no damage, but you're still stopping the point from moving forward. You're stopping the card progress or the enemy team from capturing point. That's gonna influence a lot of how the game moves forward, because if they immediately capped and you're stalling, well, does nothing. But if you're stalling for an extra 5-10 seconds per fight, that's going to be really important for y'all. 3. You want to really spend as little time in the axe form as possible. It's very vulnerable, you're immobile, and you're very weak in comparison to your spear or your free flight form on Angela, and it's really only useful for cleaning up AoE targets, such as if they're all inside a big fight in a support ult, or you're hitting a quick burst combo to finish off the enemy if they're already low HP. But otherwise, you should be looking for opportunities to switch back and fly around in order to increase your chances of survival and damage output. And 4, you really want to focus on body blocking anybody you kidnap. So as Angela, you're already really annoying because you fly around, you're hard to hit, you kidnap people away, you CC them. But on top of that, if you're stopping them from getting healed by body blocking, or you're stopping them from running away from a corner because you're literally stopping them from walking through your body, that's going to be really helpful with just even increasing the amount of damage the enemy team takes. Also, as an FYI, a lot of these tips are going to be very similar to Penny, if not the same, because both of these characters are mobile off tanks with a weakness to CC. But now that we got those 4 tips out of the way, let's get right into the first tip against Angela herself, actually. Also, in a mirror match where the enemy team also has an Angela, it's literally just your job to just permanently annoy the enemy Angela to the point where she's not able to do anything like get a kill on your own teammates. Against an enemy Angela, you also want to either pin her out of her own ult or use your own ult on top of her ult. This way, the Angela is unable to follow up on the damage because she can't fly up whenever you use your ult on her, or you just kidnap her away and now she can't follow up on the damage on her spike pit. Against Captain America, you want to play high in the sky. Not only is it easier to avoid getting hit by a cap when you're flying, it also makes it easier to hit a cap using his mobility if you're above his shield, which is almost always facing the side instead of above him. Another tip for dealing with the Captain America is that you want to pin him while he's ulting. This way, it'll take him longer to get back to wherever he wants to go, and you're going to stall out the timer of his ult so he can't stall as long as he wants to. For Doctor Strange, you want to save your primary charge for the knockback. Knockback in this game causes characters' movement ability to stop working, so using a fully charged primary attack after Strange tries to flies up stops him from flying, and it also forces it to go on cooldown, which is really great for stopping him from flying back up from the ledge. Against the Strange, you also want to find ways to negate the Eye of Agamotto, his ult. Here I pinned the Strange away so that he can't follow up on the damage with his ult, but there are other ways you can mitigate it. You could stand in front of your teammates with your shield, you can even give them the ally shield buff with your axe form, you could even just body block the damage itself directly without the shield. Whatever it is, just try to mitigate the damage from his ult as much as possible. If for some reason the Emma Frost isn't banned on the enemy team, you almost always want to bait out the diamond form with your flight. You're pretty much always guaranteed dead if you walk into an Emma with her diamond form, so try to bait it out as soon as possible so that she wastes her diamond form and that you can walk in on her easily, and now she also doesn't have the diamond form to rely on afterwards. Against an Emma, you want to body block the Emma ult with your shield and your flying abilities. By standing in front of the Emma, you're going to negate how often the Emma is able to stun or hit your teammates with her ult, and this will help you guys kill the Emma faster and help them live longer as well. I will say though, you don't have enough shield HP to fully block an Emma ult, so you want to use it a little bit later on so that you can delay it as much as possible, or if you can guarantee kill her, just go for the kill. The first tip against Groot is that you have to either bait out the new Ironwood wall or destroy it first. So the new buff in Season 5 is that they made Groot CC immune, just like Emma's diamond form, as long as he's within 15 meters of his awakened Ironwood walls. And so unless you either bait out the wall or break it first, you're not going to be able to pin and kidnap the Groot. So it's either you ignore the Groot until after the wall is used, or if you know the wall is used, that's your opportunity to kidnap him, and you don't kidnap him any other time. Against the Groot, you also want to focus on disrupting the Groot ult. He's pretty similar to Strange, where all the damage comes from after the Groot ult lands, and so you want to focus on kidnapping the Groot away, blocking his shots, even using your shield to block the ult itself. Those are all methods of following up on blocking and countering the Groot ult. For the Hulk, you want to abuse your primary charge knockback to cancel the Hulk jump so that he's unable to get away whenever he wants to. If you look back on this POV from the enemy Hulk, he tries to jump away, and the moment I use my primary fire, his jump just instantly gets cancelled. So he becomes a really easy target for me to just kill. Also, one thing you want to do against the Hulk is bully him whenever he's using his ult. He's really vulnerable to Angela's entire kit, and so body blocking his exiles and his claps, pinning him away and negating his jumps, those are all great ways to stop him from doing anything. Against the Magneto, you want to use your ult on the Magnetos to cancel his ult entirely. Magneto's unable to ult whenever he's caught in the Angela ult, and so he can't use it to save himself from a Jeff ult or block an Iron Man ult. However, you do have to be careful of the fact that Magneto can absorb your ult as it flies across, so you have to use your ult in a safe location where the Magneto can't react to use his ult before your ult lands. The second tip with dealing with Magneto is that you want to be standing above the Magneto's head in order to block the Magneto rock more consistently. So due to how the hitboxes work in this game, the Magneto fires his ult from above his head. And so as long as you're standing above the head, you're going to be able to block it a lot more consistently, even if it doesn't look that way. The first step for dealing with a Penny is that you want to be clearing all of her Penny mines, especially with your base movement or just melee attacks if they're not inside the webs. So as a flyer character and one of the faster flyer characters, you can easily bait out the mines just by flying in and out over them. This could be really easy for you to just bait out the mines and not get hit by them, and also save your team the trouble of dying to a bunch of mines or having to worry about them. The second tip for Penny Nest is that you want to break the Penny Nest with caution. And so what I mean by that is, it's pretty much your job to break the Penny Nest, but you also have to be aware of the Penny that might be sitting in her webs trying to stun you. And if you get stunned, you're pretty much dead. So as long as you keep track of the web stun cooldown that the Penny has, and just put your shield up every 3 seconds depending on when she last uses it, you're going to be able to live against the Penny stun and break the nest for free, because now she can't stun you and stop you from breaking her nest. The only real tip for Thing is literally just don't engage on the Thing when you're alone. He can pretty much catch up to the Angela real quick and knock you down and slow you down. So as long as you are just with your team and you're not trying to 1v1 the Thing, you should be perfectly fine. He just doesn't do enough damage to really be enough of a threat for you and your team. The second tip with dealing with the Thing is that you literally ignore him after he uses his major cooldowns. Thing is pretty much useless against the Angela unless he has cooldowns, and if he's already uses slam or already uses right click punches, then you don't have to worry about it, because now he literally cannot do anything to stop you from, let's say, chasing after the Luna Snow and killing them. So anytime the Thing wastes his cooldowns, that's your opportunity to go into the backline and kill anybody for free. Against the Thor, try to avoid flying out of his Thor bubble. The Thor bubble will instantly slow you down and make you unable to fly, so it's just better to shield around inside the bubble itself to avoid taking damage, or you just swap to your axe form to try and avoid getting killed as you're fighting them in your melee form. You also have to really respect Thor's space. Thor pretty much wins the 1v1 against the Angela every single time, intentional or not, and all of his kit is like pretty good at countering Angela, so you just have to make sure you're avoiding 1v1 opportunities with him. Against the Venom, you really want to pin him into a tight space or pin him away from your team. Most of the time he's going to engage with his cooldowns, and by the time you pin him away, he won't be able to follow up on those damage. So just pinning him away from your team is going to be enough to stop him from engaging on your backline. Also, whenever a Venom is ulting, you just want to shield below you while you're flying, or literally fly out of the range of the Venom ult. This way he won't be able to get any damage or health bonuses from you. Against the Black Panther, your best bet is to aim at your teammates instead of the Black Panther. Chances are you're probably going to have a really hard time tracking the Black Panther and hitting him, so instead of trying to focus on hitting him as he's moving through, try to focus on where he's going to hit. He's likely going to dash through your teammates, especially your supports, so if you dive at your supports with your kidnap, you might be able to kidnap the Black Panther as he's trying to get a combo on them. And the second tip for Black Panther is really just ignore the Black Panther. He's not your problem. You have 5 other teammates who can deal with the Black Panther. Your job is more so to focus on literally anybody else besides the flanker who's really hard to kill and is a melee character. Against the Widowmaker, all you have to do is just annoy and pressure her constantly. She's almost always going to be a threat to your team if unchecked, so just play in your cover and shorten the distance so that you can harass her with as little damage taken as possible. Against the Widow, you also have to really watch out for the melee stun. Even after you're putting your shield up or flying away, she can still stun you from a distance, so you just want to be really careful with either not getting hit by the stun in the first place or being in a location where getting stunned doesn't matter to you. The first tip against Blade is to not use your ult until after the Blade ults. The Blade can actually break free out of the Angela ult by using his own ult, so it's just better to save your ult to use afterwards. The second tip for Blade is to kidnap him whenever he blocks. He's actually unable to stop your kidnap when he's blocking, and so this will help your team get a kill on him when he would otherwise parry it or block it with a sword. Against Daredevil, you want to avoid hard flanks. Whenever Daredevil is in the game, it becomes a lot harder to flank on your own to try and kill someone because he's always going to be sensing and scouting you out before you even fight. So instead, just play close to your team and look for opportunities as the fight is happening. Another tip for Daredevil is that you want to stop the Daredevil from flanking himself. So just like Daredevil is annoying for you, you are equally as annoying to the Daredevil. So constantly make him struggle to attack your backline by pinning him away, stunning him, being a distraction to him, and he won't be able to get any value by diving your backline. Against the Hawkeye, all you have to do is close the distance on him, just like you do with Black Widow. Just make sure you're using natural cover, using your shield, and using your movement abilities to get there as soon as possible. And you can also easily harass him by weaving in shields as you're attacking him to throw off his timing of his arrows. The second tip is to run away immediately whenever he ults. You're really unable to do anything about his ult, even with your shield up, because he can still hit your clones, so just don't bother trying to fight him whenever he uses his ult. When dealing with a Hela ult, all you have to do is literally just stand in front of it and block it with your shield. This can guarantee 3 blocks every single time with your shield alone, and then you can body block it with your regular body on top of that for extra assurance of burning through the Hela ult. Also, another tip for Hela is that anytime you see her try to flank on her own, just dive her and especially chase her after she uses her bird form. She really can't do anything to you when she uses her bird form, and if she doesn't have her ult, she's just never going to live as long as you hit all of your shots. So just keep chasing after her and then you'll eventually kill her. When dealing with the Human Torch, you really want to focus the torch as much as possible. It's pretty much your job to arrest the torch and stop it from flying around for free, and most teams will run a comp with triple support that relies on just the Human Torch for the damage, so as long as you shut them down, you're pretty much guaranteed to win that fight. Another simple but effective tip for dealing with the Human Torch is literally just to take your time with your kidnap. Torch is relatively slow compared to the Angela, so as long as you just line up the kidnap, you're pretty much going to kill him every single time. The most important tip for Iron Fist is that you never want to 1v1 in Iron Fist. He is probably the best counter to Angela outside of Inviswoman, just because he can CC Angela whenever, keep up with her whenever, and just it takes no skill at all to just keep up with Angela who's trying to run away. Right, I'm doing every possible thing I could possibly do here, and I still die because this Iron Fist is just on my asshole the entire time. And it's just like, it takes 0 skill from him too. All he has to do is press one left shift, he catches up, and then he just holds M1 the entire time. Right. There's nothing else to it. He automatically catches up with you every single time. So never 1v1 an Iron Fist. If you see an Iron Fist, you always have to play carefully. Another tip for Iron Fist is that if you want to bait out his block, use your melee instead of your primary fire. Most fists will use the block the moment they see any amount of damage coming their way, so if you use your melee, you can bait out the blocking ability and then not give him too many shields while also maintaining your high primary charge damage so that you can follow up with a combo if you need to. Against an Iron Man, you want to avoid starting fights from the front. He can really shred your HP if you try fighting him with his beam, so just try to annoy him from the sides and taking different flank routes and detours to try to annoy him as much as possible. Another tip against an Iron Man is that you want to either block or cancel his ults. As long as you're aware of where the Iron Man is and whether he has ult or not, it's very easy to just stand in front of him and block his ult. And also, I would recommend using the shield block over a stun every single time, just because you're able to get the ult charge down to 0% instead of at 50% if you were to stun him. Against the Magik, the first tip is that you want to avoid having a 1v1 with her. The demons and their immunity frames make her impossible to beat in a 1v1, so just straight up don't fight her alone because you're not going to win. 2. You also want to use your ult to shut down Magik's ult. If you time your ult so that it lands after 1 or 2 teleports have been used by the Magik, landing the ult will make her a sitting duck and an easy shutdown to kill her for free. Against the Fantastic, you just have to avoid direct fights with him. Pretty much all of his abilities will slow you down or ground you, making it impossible to escape or kidnap someone, so just don't try to engage a team fight whenever the Fantastic is around using his abilities. The second tip is to kidnap Fantastic whenever he's in his big form. Because he's a bigger hitbox now, it's just easier to hit the kidnap on him and kill him or bring him into your team, whatever you want to do. Against the Moon Knight, it's going to be the exact same tips as the Penny tips. You either dive the Moon Knight or dive the Moon Knight's backline. Moon Knight does really poorly into Angela and Penny because he just can't hit either of them for effective damage and actually stop them from killing your teammates. So just bully whoever is on Moon Knight or bully his teammates, and the Moon Knight can't really kill you at all. When you're going against Namor, you either want to break the squids before fighting or don't fight him when the squids are up. It's not your job to break the squids, but it's going to be really hard to do your job trying to kill the Namor when the squids are up. So either run away when the squids are activated or break them yourself and then kill him right after. The second tip against the Namor is to use your shield to stop and block the Namor ult. As long as you're facing the center of the ult, it'll protect whoever's behind that shield, including you and the ally. For Psylocke, you want to mark the Psylocke whenever she goes on these long flanks that she usually takes. By constantly being on her ass and, cutting off her escape routes or stopping her from getting onto your team in the first place, you're going to be able to kill a Psylocke really easily and she won't have any cooldowns to escape or even kill you with. Also, because you are fast enough to catch up with the Psylocke if she uses her dashes, don't be afraid to use your pin to just catch up with her and try to kill her potentially. When there's a Psylocke on the enemy team, you want to make sure that you can stand in the ult as fast as possible. Because of how strong the damage is now with the new buffed Psylocke ult, you really want to stack with your teammates as best as you can so that they don't die and you reduce the chance of anybody dying with your team. Against the Scarlet Witch, all you have to do is just chase her down whenever she uses her fade. It's on a 10-second cooldown and it isn't very fast, so she's very easy to dive as Angela. And the second tip is also going to be close your distance and stun her with your kidnap ability whenever she's trying to use her ult. She becomes a lot slower and it's going to be just easy to hit her consistently because she doesn't really have a way to stop you when she's ulting. Against Spider-Man, you have to harass him as long as it takes. You're pretty much a giant obstacle for the Spider-Man because you have the ability to catch up with him and also do constant damage to the Spider-Man. So as long as you're just constantly chasing him and hit your shots, you're going to be really annoying for the enemy Spider-Man to deal with. Against the Spider-Man, you want to either save your shield to block his ult or charge at him to cancel the ult. I wouldn't recommend really charging at the Spider-Man because it's really hard to pull off, but with your shield you can at least guarantee saving your teammates or at least yourself so that you can kill the Spider-Man afterwards. The first tip against Squirrel Girl is just to play in the sky in open areas. She's going to have a really hard time trying to hit you as a projectile character, and especially when you're flying out in the open where there's no walls to bounce off the squirrel nuts. The second tip is pretty much the same thing, just use your mobility, abuse the fact that you can fly around for free and just bully her consistently, and she can't hit you ever and she can't really do anything about you. It's just going to waste time the more time she tries to shoot at you. One of the best things you can do against the Star-Lord as an Angela is just to constantly mark him and harass him whenever he tries to go on the offense. You're likely to lose a 1v1 against the Star-Lord, so just try to harass him, be annoying to him, and that's more than enough to stop him from getting a kill on your team. One easy way to deal with the Star-Lord ult as an Angela is just ult him near an environment. So basically, as long as you hit something that the Star-Lord can get attached to with your ult, he won't be able to fly away with his ult, and now you guys can easily kill him as he won't be able to flip away or fly away. For Storm, all you have to do is just bully Storm out of the air. She's really slow compared to every other flyer, so you can just look for opportunities where she's vulnerable to try and kidnap her or just deal damage to her before you get out. The second tip is also to avoid Storm whenever she's using her wind or speed form. She slows you down while in this form, and it's going to be really annoying to try and fly out or kidnap somebody whenever you get slowed. So try to avoid fighting her whenever she uses this ability, kite it out, and then go in after she's finished using that ability. Against the Phoenix, you really want to focus on body blocking the Phoenix ult without using your shield. So when you run into the Phoenix ult or just collide with it in general, it's going to break the Phoenix ult and cause it to explode before it even hits the ground, which means it's not going to hit your team. But if you use your shield while holding it, then it's going to break the shield as well, so now you just wasted your shield for no reason, because you could have blocked it without the shield anyway. The second tip is to hold your shield to block the Phoenix stun. If you hold your shield, you can either block the Phoenix stun when it hits the ground and just turning towards it is not going to hit you or stun you, or you could just use your shield to actually stop it from even hitting anybody, because it won't trigger if it hits your shield directly. Against the Punisher, you can break his turret from above, so as long as he's in his turret form, you want him in that form as long as possible, and just keep shooting at him with your spear from above, and he won't be able to hit you ever. The second tip for Punisher is just to kidnap him into the low ground. Most Punishers try to play on the high ground consistently and try to get back up on the high ground as much as they can, and as long as you kidnap him off and make sure his journey back to the high ground is as difficult as possible, he's going to have a really hard time just trying to live or do damage to the enemy team. Against Bucky, you really don't want to engage with him until at least some of his cooldowns are used first. Any single cooldown from Bucky can really mess you up, either the hook or the slow or the stun. So it's really important to not get hit by any of these, or be safe enough that getting hit by them won't matter, maybe because you're getting healed by your supports or you're within your team and they can protect you. The second tip for Bucky is to ult him after he uses his ult slam. When he's in his ult, the jump up in the air is CC immune, so you can't stun him or kidnap him then, but after he hits the ground with his ult, you can actually stun him and stop him from using his jump ability as long as you ground him with your ult. And so even if he has a reset for us again and again and again, he won't be able to use it as long as you hit the first Angela ult on him. The first thing you want to do against the Wolverine is you want to bait out his kidnap by just flying around the map. You really can't fight or do anything at all as long as the Wolverine has his kidnap available, so until he uses it, you can't try to attempt anything in a fight. The second tip for Wolverine is to hit him with a charged primary or your pin to cancel his kidnap. If your teammates are getting kidnapped by the Wolverine, all you have to do is just hit him with a fully charged primary fire, or kidnap him yourself, and that will cancel the ability completely, saving your team, and also having the Wolverine be stuck in the middle of your own team. Against an Adam Warlock, you want to kidnap and monitor his respawn. Because Warlock is so vulnerable in the 1v1 to a Angela because he has no CC or mobility, he's really easy to kill, and you can also easily fly around to wherever he's trying to res himself or res his teammates. So as long as you just keep an eye on him, he won't be able to use his res to survive again, because he's just going to lose to the next 1v1. When you're up against an Adam Warlock, you really want to focus on hitting people away from him after he uses his soul bond. The soul bond range is pretty limited, so the chain is going to break apart a lot more easily, and now the people who were soul bonded are going to no longer be soul bonded. Against the Cloak and Dagger, you also want to force the Fade and harass the Cloak constantly. By constantly pinning her away and putting her in the location where she doesn't want to be, she's more likely to die, or at the very least waste her fate for something as trivial as just getting pinned away. And that will increase your opportunities to kill either Cloak or somebody else who might have needed that fate for another instance. Against the Cloak and Dagger, you just really want to focus on trying to pin her out of her own ult after the 4 lines. Just lifting her up in the air for your team to shoot down with her alongside you will make it a lot easier for you guys to kill the Cloak and Dagger out of her own ult. My first and main tip for dealing with the Invis Woman in Season 5 as a Angela player is that you have to ban her. You either have to ban her or you don't play Angela when the Invis Woman is in the game. Every single one of her abilities, including her ult, her shield, her orb, her push and pull, they all either stop your movement or your pin or your kidnap, or they just slow you down completely to the point where it's not even fun trying to play Angela into that comp. Invis Woman alone is just a hard counter to Angela, probably the best counter to an Angela, and so just don't play Invis, or don't play Angela if they have an Invis on the enemy team. My first and main tip for dealing with the Invis Woman in Season 5 as a Angela player is that you have to ban her. You either have to ban her or you don't play Angela when the Invis Woman is in the game. Every single one of her abilities, including her ult, her shield, her orb, her push and pull, they all either stop your movement or your pin or your kidnap, or they just slow you down completely to the point where it's not even fun trying to play Angela into that comp. Invis Woman alone is just a hard counter to Angela, probably the best counter to an Angela, and so just don't play Invis, or don't play Angela if they have an Invis on the enemy team. Otherwise, you just want to keep track of every single cooldown. You want to make sure you block her orbs or her push with your shield, and then kill her when she's, done jumping away with her jump ability. One tip for playing against the Jeff is that you want to ult onto the Jeff and fly out immediately. So a lot of Jeffs will try to ult and swallow you as soon as you slam on the ground after ulting them, but if you fly up immediately after slamming, you can force out a bad Jeff ult because it won't be able to reach you or kidnap you away. Another general tip for dealing with the Jeff is just chase them around a lot. A lot of them will run away and not heal their others if they're being chased, and even if they don't run away, they usually will have a really hard time killing you, or they die easily themselves. So just run after a Jeff and you should be able to do just fine. When up against the Loki, you really want to focus on pressuring out his cooldowns and even forcing out abilities like TP and ult. By constantly chasing and kidnapping him, he's going to feel threatened because he can't really do anything about you at all. Also, even if the kidnap isn't available to you, just simply flying above him and just poking him out with damage is enough to really force out important cooldowns like lamps or just get him killed. Because again, Loki just cannot do anything to an Angela at all. My first tip for Luna is solo ult the Luna to force out the Luna ult. A lot of Lunas will use their ult early on the moment they take any amount of damage or feel threatened, and using an Angela ult to bait out the best support ult in the game is almost always worth, especially since now they don't have any support ults to use after the Angela ult. Also against Luna Snows, you want to bait out the snowball with your melee shield cancel. Basically, you just use your shield anytime you're trying to kill her in a melee combo, and most of the time because they try to freeze you anytime you get close, you're likely going to be able to block the snowball every single time. The only real noticeable thing between Luna and Mantis is that you can actually pin the Mantis off the map while she's ulting, because it doesn't give her CC immunity unlike the Luna, so you can always look for that when trying to find a kill. But otherwise, you just kind of want to treat Mantis the same way you treat Luna. Avoid getting hit by the sleep dart or the snowball, and run away when you need to, and just go back on her when she doesn't have any cooldowns. For Rocket Raccoon, you want to search and destroy his res beacon because it's on a 45-second cooldown that can bring back anybody on the team. As long as you break it every single time you hear it or see it, and because you're so mobile and fast, you're able to reach him more easily. Breaking is going to be really essential for your team to beating a Rocket comp, especially because he's so hard to kill on his own, and his healing output is very high. Another tip for dealing with a Rocket is that you want to swap to your Axe form in order to break the Rocket ult. So the Axe form is going to create a spike pit that does some tick damage to the Rocket ult, and then you can swing faster with your axes to break the ult as soon as possible. When dealing with the Ultron, you literally just have to permanently bully the Ultron anytime you have the opportunity. If you're trying to go for an ult, go for a flank, go for a kill, just shoot at him constantly and he will die eventually, just because he can't really do anything about you. The only other advice for dealing with the Ultron is just kidnap and kill the other supports that are not the Ultron. The Ultron can actually out-heal any of the damage that Angela does, especially if you kidnap the people away from the Ultron. So just try to kidnap them or find isolated supports and just run it down on them. They won't live. But yeah, that is the end of the 2 tips against every hero for today. Once I have a little bit more playtime against and with Gambit, I will be dropping a YouTube short on 2 tips against Gambit specifically. But if you have any other questions, put them down in the comments below. I read every single comment and I answer any questions you have in there. And hopefully this is useful for y'all. I also am planning on making a 2 tips for each character to play with Angela, if that makes sense. So 2 tips when you have a Jeff on your team, 2 tips when you have a Magneto on your team, as when you're playing Angela. So that's in the works right now. But again, check out my Twitch streams on twitch.tv/FullMetalLamp, or my YouTube streams. I go live on both. And hopefully I will see y'all next time. Have a good night.